We alluded to it earlier in the show, Tug. There was a tweet that went out from Jimmy Traina.
Yep. Runs sports media for the Sports Illustrated.
Again, his tweet said, The Hangover, top 10 comedy of all time. Not even debatable, right? And if you look under the comments, it clearly was debatable. So you said we should come up with our top 10 movie comedies of all time. And here's what I'm going to say before we jump into this. This was very difficult for me. And you're probably not going to like how I handle this, although I feel like you're pretty understanding, kind of like how we did our top 10 stories.
Yeah.
And I lumped things together. Because this is tough for me for a few reasons. One, a lot of these movies that I really liked, I maybe have not seen in a while, and I need to get reacquainted.
Interesting.
So
well, you said it right. Like, we approached the top 10 list differently. So, I'm very excited to see what your parameters are for your top 10.
So I have a list of 25 movies in front of me.
Yay!
So hold on. We're not going to go over all 25.
Right.
But I had to just start writing a list of movies that I loved or I felt are classics. But this is definitely personal. I don't want people thinking, "Oh, that's not a top 10." These are Andy Ruther.
Correct. I think we should say that about all of our lists. These are our top 10.
Yeah.
This isn't for everyone.
Yeah. So with that being said, I also put things in genres of like, I don't know, like these few. You're gonna hate this. These few early 2000s.
The thought behind it, I do love.
You know, because you can see I have a big list. I have different colored movies highlighted. So you did it, I did it, and Nick did it. And so obviously we have different age. You and I are in the same age group.
Yep.
Nick is 23 years old. He's going to have, I assume, a completely different thought process on this. So these are our top 10 movie comedies of all time. I'd like to start with you.
My number 10? Or just my list?
I'm not numbering mine in order.
Okay, great. I'm going to do this. I have 9, and I was going to allow one of your free agents to come over to my side.
Okay, I love this.
So
Either mine or Andy's?
Yes, I'm going to
Okay.
choose one from your side.
Okay.
So my buddy Sam Alipore, who works for ESPN, put out his list, and I was like, and it did not include Dumb and Dumber. And a bunch of people I said, listen, your list is not correct because it doesn't have Dumb and Dumber.
I agree.
And several people piled on that, which I loved. So shout out to Sam, but that's a falsehood. Dumb and Dumber is 100% in the top 10. It's one of the most quotable movies of all time.
I think that's Nick brought up a great point. Real quick, sorry to hop in here. He said that yesterday. He was like, if it's quotable, Dumb and Dumber. If we're out at the grocery store and I say, so you're saying there's a chance?
Yes.
People know.
I feel like gifts in this current day and age are important. Quotability, rewatchability are all part of my components for why I picked these. Dumb and Dumber, I actually think I like it more. It's one of those comedies that actually gets better for me.
Yeah.
I think I've watched it the first time. I was like, it's funny. Then I watched it again. I'm like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
And then the 100th time I'm saying,
I missed that.
oh, yeah. Oh, my God. We landed on the moon.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a classic, subtle bit as he walks out the door. Just another joke that Jim Carrey ad-libbed on his during the day. So, for me, Dumb and Dumber, if not the top, right at the top. So now I'm going to go to some other ones that I think maybe are outside. I'm going to do some ones that I think people are like, you're crazy. This is a rom-com. I'm just going to say it. When Harry Met Sally with Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan is amazing. And it should be somewhere in people's list. If you're looking for a date night movie and you haven't seen it yet, take it with your girl or guy. Watch that movie. The Jerk, an old school movie.
Thank you.
But I feel like everyone should be watching that movie. Steve Martin is one of my comedy idols. Prano should be a part of this at some point, but Steve Martin is one of my guys, and he is amazing in that. And it's hilarious.
Well, let's all kind of, in a way, I think we'll be doing this together because The Jerk has to be on your top 10. I agree. It's so funny. If you have not seen The Jerk, if you're younger, came out in the 70s. It's so brilliantly written. I mean, the opening scene is Steve Martin on like a rural farm in Mississippi. And,
he was born a poor black boy.
He says, I'm born a poor black boy because he was raised by an all-black family just from the get-go. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's hilarious. So that's like my old, and I know what people are going to talk about. I'm sure maybe the Zucker brothers are going to be in there for your list. Anchorman, things. I'm sorry, Airplane.
Yeah.
But Anchorman is my next one. It's for me super quotable, watchable, hilarious. Anchorman's on my list.
Can I share like like it's really personal now. I might even get emotional about my mom, because you're saying When Harry Met Sally. And I don't know. I don't know if I should share this. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to bother my family.
Oh.
But my dad shared it with me, and I love it. And I don't have that on my list. But so my mom was very like, conservative, and like we were strict Catholics. And my dad tells me this story after my mom dies, and it's like it involves When Harry Met Sally, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe Mom did that. But it made me love my mom that much more. So my parents go to this place in northern Kentucky called the Elks Lodge. It's like a membership place. They don't belong there. They go with friends. It's a dinner place. And this is just a few years ago. In the middle of dinner, my mom's apparently sauced up. She starts reenacting the famous fake orgasm scene. In the middle of dinner. And all these like hotty-toddy, posh people are staring in this, whatever this restaurant, like lodge thing is. And my mom's faking an orgasm. And she's just going off the walls. If you haven't seen the movie, you have to see it.
Yep.
The whole I'll have what she's having scene. And as they're driving back, apparently my mom looks at my dad and she says, I can't believe I did that. But I've always wanted to do that. And my dad tells me that story. And I said, Dad, when did this happen? Because he didn't tell me that part. I said, when Mom was in her early 20s, when you were dating? And my dad goes, no. Your mom did that like 5 years ago. But it was such a great story, to go back to the movie, was that like my mom in her 60s. And it's funny hearing my dad saying, your mom's faking an orgasm in the middle of everybody. And they're looking at her like she's a lunatic. But like I loved hearing that story of like, that's a part of me, how I can be. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it goes back to that movie, the imprint that it left on obviously my mom.
Yeah. And it's one of the great comedies that I think can cross both for men and women. I think both people can get into it. And that's kind of what the movie's about.
I agree.
So, like I said, if you haven't seen it, and Rob Reiner directed it. Rob Reiner's mom famously said, I'll have what she's having. So I'll just give you my list, and then you can debate off that. The one I'm willing to be talked off of is Tropic Thunder. I remember that experience. The reason I put it on the list is because I went and saw it in the movie theater. And I remember laughing as hard as any time in my life with that movie. Edgy, maybe not a movie for these times, but hilarious. And there's a character named Tug in it with one extra G, which I don't approve of. But here's my list. Dumb and Dumber, Billy Madison, The Jerk, Naked Gun, When Harry Met Sally, Tropic Thunder, Anchorman, Groundhog Day, and then I don't know if it's quite a comedy, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm putting it in Rushmore.
Okay.
So that's my list. And I have one more slot out there that I'm willing to be convinced by you two to put it in the list.
Interesting.
Thoughts on that list?
I like it. We have some similarities. Anchorman doesn't make my list.
Let me just quickly say, The Hangover, probably not in the top 20 for me.
Yeah.
Just to answer the original tweet.
Yeah.
The Hangover I remember being entertaining, but I'd probably put it around. It might make the bottom half of the 20s or 25. I think it might make it in there. Great movie. There's no doubt. I'm just talking about iconic movies.
I agree.
That impacted my life.
I agree. So here's what I'll say about that list. I have similarities. Did you have Naked Gun?
I did.
I have The Jerk.
Yep.
I have Naked Gun. I have Dumb and Dumber.
Yep.
So we have three similarities there.
Good. There's some room to debate.
Also on my list, for sure, Caddyshack.
Yep.
Animal House. Blazing Saddles.
Yep.
The Sheriff is near.
And I discussed this with Nick's dad last night. It's tough for me not to put Fast Times at Ridgemont High
It's a great movie. I don't know if it falls in like the Rushmore line to me, where it's like, is it just a really good movie, or is it a comedy, or do we even have that question?
And that's what I'm saying. So that's a tough one, and this one's gonna bother a lot of people, but I don't care. I've watched this movie. College, I used to watch this so many times. I think it holds up. I think it's still funny, especially in today's PC age. And I think a lot of people disrespect it when I look at lists and don't even mention it. The South Park movie, bigger, longer, and uncut. I think it was brilliant. And the history behind that was that they weren't going to approve it. The what's it called? Was it the Motion Pictures?
Yeah, whatever the MPA organization.
Motion Pictures Association. Yeah. The rating, and they made it that much raunchier. And I think the South Park movie, and obviously I am a huge advocate for the South Park guys, Matt Stone and Trey Parker. So that makes my list. My personal favorite overall, number one, is Animal House. I have seen that movie more than any movies. I think it's so funny. Written by Harold Ramis, who's one of the writers. Which then you
also did Groundhog Day, which is
exactly. And amazing. I was going to say you have to have one of his movies, whether it's that or Groundhog Day or Ghostbusters. Now
Ghostbusters. I mean, that's one of the fun parts about this debate is you remember how many good comedies are out there.
Well, and the thing, and that's a great point. And the thing is too, I was telling Nick this last night about Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is a comedy, but growing up as a kid, you don't know that.
I agree.
So I go, that's why it's difficult for me to put this on the list because I've seen Ghostbusters I don't know how many times, but as a kid I just thought it was
it's kind of scary.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. So but here's what I've done.
I love the thought put into this.
I put the movie Hangover in the wheelhouse of all these movies. And then I want to ask all you guys, and obviously we're going to get to Nick.
Next time SpongeBob.
Can you just hold up your list so the viewers can see like how extensive this thing is?
I'll put a picture. I'll get a picture of it for us so we can post it on social.
Can you zoom in on that?
I'm zoomed.
So I have these 5 movies in the same wheelhouse, and I want both your opinions on this. The Hangover's in one of them. These are that genre that is really funny, but what's the best? Bridesmaids, Old School, Superbad, 40-Year-Old Virgin, and The Hangover. I put all those in that same genre.
I think that's a good genre. I think that's a good window for all those.
And I loved all those.
Yeah, me too.
Like you were saying about Tropic Thunder in the theater. I will never forget how hard I laughed at Bridesmaids, at 40-Year-Old Virgin, at The Hangover, at Old School, at Superbad. So all those movies I thought were so well written. The cast was so amazing. What's your favorite? I would probably say, and I love all those, I'd probably lean towards 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah, I mean, it's
the pink highlighted ones.
Pink highlighted ones. Man, I mean, it's tough. Old School, Bridesmaids, Superbad's almost like it falls into the Rushmore good movie thing that we're talking about.
I remember when I went with my friend Sarah, who I used to wait tables with. When we saw Bridesmaids, like I was that guy in the theater because I don't hold back. If I think something's funny, and I loved Bridesmaids, and I think I was bordering on that she's like, geez, I don't know if I want to be here with him anymore. Like I'm that guy laughing.
Yeah, I love it.
Hysterically. So all those. So I might give the edge to 40-Year-Old Virgin, but then I have Sandler movies on here, and I don't disagree. Did you have Billy Madison?
I had Billy Madison.
I don't disagree with that either because I'm like, you got to put a Sandler movie on here.
Well, also, you did a great job of putting a Mel Brooks movie on there, which
I thought I had to.
Oh, of course.
I had to give Mel Brooks some love.
And some of these things, you're right. Like, we should do a day. We should do a YouTube channel where we're just watching the movies again and see what people are thinking because it'd be fun to refresh our memories with Blazing Saddles and whatever else he made.
And then you know what ranks up there for me, and I think he's brilliant, and I love him. Borat.
I agree.
Great success.
Borat is on the cusp for me because again, my movie-going experience was so good watching that.
And that's how I felt. Now, what do you feel about? Let me toss out a few other ones. Something About Mary.
It's on a lot of lists out there. It's not. It's probably second tier comedy from me personally.
Okay.
But still, I mean, the zipper scene.
Oh my God!
I've never laughed. I mean, being a teenager and watching that scene, you laugh. It's so fun to laugh like
I
that
agree.
loud.
I saw it in the theater, was dying. I was in high school. The vacation movies,
Yep.
Monty Python.
Of course.
Bring out your dad.
So that's kind of my list. Coming to America.
Coming to America is great. Yeah, that's on several lists. I mean, that's incredible.
This is a tough one to do. Blues Brothers for me is up there.
People always say I love Caddyshack. I don't love it as much because of for whatever reason, I don't know why, but like it's for my top 10. But I can see why so many people love it.
I rewatched that one last year. It held up.
I need to watch it again. I mean, I do love it. Maybe it's just because I have a thing about sports movies, but yeah, Caddyshack it's got to go on the list.
So obviously these are all in my wheelhouse. Now let's go to Nick. You're born in what, 1996?
96.
So you'll have a different perspective.
I actually have Joe Burrow's birthday is my half birthday.
Oh my God.
How about that little nug? So
Nick Nug.
Nick works in the upside down of this podcast. He just says things that are like maybe doesn't make any sense or non sequiturs or totally random.
It's good for the show.
Yeah, it is great for the show.
So when I did my list, I just kind of did it as if these are the movies that I would watch before I watch The Hangover.
Okay.
So it goes like this, and some of them are going to be questionable.
And please throw your comments on YouTube too. I want to see a few comments.
We do have a few, and we'll get to those after my list.
Yep.
All right. So I do have Anchorman.
Thank you.
And this is going to be it's going to be controversial to okay, that's acceptable. Next, I got The Ringer.
Do I even know this movie?
Explain it, Nick.
When did we get ice cream?
Don't know it. Never seen it.
If you know it, you know it. All right. Yeah. Then I got Naked Gun, of course.
Well, hold on. You have to explain. The Ringer was Johnny Knoxville fakes that he's mentally handicapped.
Oh, wow.
It's a great movie.
Okay.
Yeah. In terms of a comedy, it's up there. Yeah, I got The Naked Gun. And then I got 1985, the Clue movie. Clue.
Clue's a great movie.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think of it as a comedy, but like I see why they're definitely comical
There's
aspects.
definitely it's actually in the genre of comedy.
Such a fun watch.
Yeah. It just means a lot. I don't know. These are all personal.
Yeah,
these are my personal. I love Clue. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Next, I got Team America: World Police.
I was going to ask this question. Thank you.
So
similar to you. This is the movie I have laughed the hardest at ever of all time. I was in college freshman year. I won't forget it. Jimmy Cleveland, Tyler Clements, Randy Osterman, Austin Felice, Sam Willis. We're all in this dorm room watching it together, and it was nonstop laughter for me. So it's
actually great. I wanted to bring that up with the Uncut because of you prefer that one to Team America because so great.
I told Nick this yesterday because we revealed a couple of our things we liked. I said that to him. I go, I think you got to have something from the South Park guys. I agree with you. I saw that in the theater. I was in college. Same thing. I died laughing.
100%.
So I don't hate that at all.
Next, I got Borat. I'm with you with Borat. These are all movies, for me, I remember where I was when I saw them the first time. I was on a bus with a hockey team. Then I got Monty Python. I was in Colorado. Camp. Blazing Saddles.
Classic.
Mel Brooks. Got to have him. And then you guys didn't mention this one. Step Brothers.
It's on my list.
Very funny movie. I think it probably goes in that tier of the
40-Year-Old Virgin, Hangover.
Yeah, it's in that sort of era.
Used to smoke pot with John Hopkins.
I remember liking it a lot.
I do too. It's a good movie, but I personally don't put it on the level of those five I mentioned: Old School, Hangover, 40-Year-Old Virgin, Superbad, and Bridesmaids.
I think what you're talking about, if you have to have some like a Will Ferrell movie in there, for me, I got to go Anchorman first. I don't think Will Ferrell, who I think is hilarious, occupy 2 spots on my list, but my God, Anchorman for me.
So if you're gonna go Talladega or Step Brothers, where do you go?
I mean, you got Ferrell and John C. Reilly in both.
I need to rewatch both of those again.
And then
both great, both amazing.
And my last movie on my list, surely you can't be serious. Airplane.
I think Airplane almost, it's not on my list because I think some of these movies I see the time like it was before my era. Whereas C. Martin is one of my comedy heroes, and so I watch The Jerk and think about it so fondly.
So this is my take on those Zuckerberg movies. I rewatched all of them in the last couple years, in the last year actually. They hold up, man. And like you know me, I like the slapstick.
Me too.
And obviously we both like Dumb and Dumber.
Yep.
Just that genre of comedy is so funny to me. Now let me add one that none of us have mentioned that I have on my list in the quote unquote Andy Ruther 25 wheelhouse. Office Space. What are our takes on Mike Judge's Office Space?
I'd have to see it again. It's been a while.
Great.
Yeah.
It's fun. That's a great movie. It's funny because I think all of our lists go to movies that feel some of the humor in Office Space is a little subtler. Like
sure.
So it seems like our lists we like lean towards these like for the comedies like the gut busting, laugh out loud, like drooling down the mouth. First time we see it. Experiences, which Office Space doesn't have, but Office Space is very quotable, very rewatchable, and an amazing movie.
So if we could go to the YouTube comments now, that'd be great. All right, so we got Gavin asking if Austin Powers is even worthy of top 10. Can we put this to rest?
It's not top 50 for me.
Thank you.
Not top 50?
No.
Zach Boast, Pineapple Express or Superbad?
Well, I said Superbad. To me, I think Superbad is way funnier than Pineapple Express. That's just my take.
I'll roll that.
Holden Andrews, no John Candy movies?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
And Gavin also.
I think that would be Planes, Trains, and Automobiles probably be the one for me. I do have a soft spot in my heart for Home Alone, which I don't think is necessarily like a comedy, but like John Candy does make that list. Uncle Buck could be in there. I'm sure there's a million more that I'm missing. But
Cool Runnings, not really a comedy.
Of course. Remember watching that in the theaters. But yeah, I think it's Plane, Trains, and Automobiles is a classic.
So the crossover, what's the crossover all three of us had? Naked Gun. What else?
I think I had three with you,
Anchorman?
and I had a couple
we also
with
had
you.
Anchorman.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't have Anchorman though in my top 10.
You didn't.
No.
We also have 25.
Yeah, I basically said.
That's fair. Anchorman did Anchorman make top 25?
Did I not put that on there?
Wow, incredible. Any other people throwing some?
We got a nomination for Little Fockers.
Wow, of all in that series, Little Fockers.
It's got to be the first one. Meet the Parents.
Of course.
And I'll vouch for this as well. Zoolander.
Great.
Yeah, Ben Stiller's a comedic genius. I mean, see, this is what happens. This is what you got to do. This is what you got to do, in my opinion. You got to say, all right, we're choosing one Mel Brooks movie. We're choosing one David Zucker movie. We're choosing one Ben Stiller movie. One Adam Sandler movie. One Will Ferrell movie. I think that's kind of the way you do it. Maybe the easiest way, and then you debate that.
I mean, there's some rumors out there that Dirtball Madness is not happening this year. I think maybe in lieu of that, we do the 64, the March Madness of comedies.
Mm. Well, that's great because for anybody, if there's still a crossover, when I used to write for Dirty Pop, I brought that. We used to do our March Madness brackets, but they loved it so much, we just kept doing it all year. Where I'd bring one segment like that, and we'd break down, best rock band of the 90s, or like this. Best comedy, best SNL cast member. I love this.
It's funny to think about because some of these movies. Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Like and we always talk about like there's not enough funny movies out there, but there's like 100. I mean, it's amazing how funny
and
movies are all
doing
time.
This list and looking back on these movies and doing a Google search, I have to say, it genuinely got me excited. Like I got excited at the thought of rewatching these movies or, watching these movies with Nick for the first time since he's younger. I mean, I specifically remember, I told his dad this last night, I'll never forget the first time I watched Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I was, like 12 or 13. My mom would never have let me watch that. We were on vacation at this island in South Carolina my family used to go to, Fripp Island in South Carolina. My parents went to bed. My brother Brad goes, all right, we're going to watch this movie. There's sex in it. There's nudity. There's stuff mom would want you to see. You want to watch it? You can't tell anybody. And I just remember watching it and being like, holy shit, but how funny. Sean Penn's character, Spicoli, and Mr. Hand, the teacher, I mean, just everything.
There's always these like funny early comedies, like when you're young, you kind of see them and they're a little edgy, like Fast Times. For me, it was Kentucky Fried Movie.
Zucker.
I mean, or
yeah,
you know, just like this sort of slightly. You shouldn't be watching this right now.
Yeah.
You? It's fun to remember. Like that's the power of a movie, and then
it is.
It's just going to the theater and be like, I haven't laughed like that in a long time. It's an amazing,
and
it's
like,
an amazing thing.
Like I remember something about like that's the thing. These movies I remember seeing that in high school, and even just a scene people probably don't remember. They go to the rest stop, and Ben Stiller trips and falls in the bushes, and it's a bunch of gay men having sex, and the one guy says, "Hey, wait your turn." Like there was a line of just casual sex that happened with men in the bushes and truckers, and it was just so ridiculous. Or I remember going to see Happy Gilmore with my brothers and just laughing so hard. Like none of us had Ace Ventura.
That's crazy.
Think about that.
That's funny. Yeah. It's interesting because I'm a person that likes to go to movies by myself. Like I have no problem going to a movie by myself. I prefer going to movies when they're less crowded. But comedies, whenever you catch like it's like so great to go to a full theater, and like you're just comfortable unless Andy Ruther is in the room.
They're like, shut that guy up. You know what I should have for a side gig? I should be laugh tracks.
You should.
Because I laugh a lot, and I think I have a pretty big laugh, and oh my God.
Well, thanks for indulging me. I just thought it would be a fun topic, and it was circulating my feed with all these sports personalities.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, Dirtballs, we didn't get the calls today, but if you do have something to contribute, give us a call at 310-359-8365. We will be back on Thursday with Joe, and we will get to the calls then.